All right, it is Saturday morning, and for that, I apologize because this is not how I thought this episode would go. And for that, I'm sorry because there's about 24 hours left until the Patriots kick off in their last game of the season. And you know, we always record about Thursday, Friday. We have a guest, 3 matchups, 2 keys, 1 wild card thought. And even in the games, when hey, the football itself doesn't matter a whole lot relative to what does this mean for the offseason, coaching changes, draft position, etc. We still give that to you. Well, I'm going to have those same 3 matchups, 2 keys, 1 wild card thought as we look ahead to Sunday's game against the Bills when they're going to play their backups after Josh Allen gets his start and continues a streak of 115 starts because that's what matters to him, and that's the luxury of being locked into the number 2 seed in the playoffs. But first, I need to explain why we're recording here on a Saturday, and I want to tell you that we're going to rehash a little bit of this season. And when I say a little bit, I mean a very specific, narrow way of what I've written and called the 14 most memorable, or you could say telling, or you could say shockingly stupid quotes of the Patriots season. And I don't say this as a reporter who gets any kind of glee from bashing the team, thinks it puts hair on your chest if you're critical or negative. I think if there's a place to be critical or negative, you go ahead and do it. Okay? That's what it is. My job is to be a mirror, reflect what's going on, tell you at home, report and dig in what's what. And sometimes you miss, and sometimes you have bad takes. And that's just a function of writing and talking into microphones for weeks and months on end. Okay? It's going to happen. But I don't like doing this, to be frank, because I think what we're all here for is to, in this space, when I listen to my podcast or you listen to this one, is to be entertained and educated and ultimately find some sort of connection here, right? Like just to get down to the real essence, philosophical, real quick about what we're here for the sports. It is to have fun and to find some sort of human connection, either with the stranger who you're high-fiving in the front row after a touchdown you've never met before, never will see in your life. But in that moment, you're wearing something that has the Patriots logo, and so is he. They scored. You're happy. So are they. High five. Or for me to say like, hey, yeah, I had this job. I'm exceptionally fortunate. And you know what? One of the segments we get the most feedback about is not the football. It's the, hey, what we're doing on the road. Because in those instances, yeah, I want to know, like, when I was growing up, what sports writers were doing on the road. It'd be cool to imagine that life if I don't ever get there. Well, I got here. But it also tells you I'm just a 33-and-a-half-year-old guy, which now made me sound like I'm 12 because I added a fraction of my age, who likes to drink beers on the road and chat with his friend. And this is what it's like. You get to know me a little bit more, that kind of connection. And so when you just go in with a hammer, as the saying goes, all you see is a nail, okay, right? With criticizing ownership and coaches and players. But in this instance, talking about the Patriots 2024 season, okay, there has been a disconnect in the word of certain players. And there is a real disconnect more than ever in my time covering the team between the players and the coaches in the front office and ownership and the fan base. And it's not your fault. It's obviously everyone wearing the Patriots logos professionally because of their inability to just not be the worst team in the league. But more on top of that, not have messaging that says we're doing all we can, we're all rowing in the same direction, and we know where we're headed. The only reason for hope, 12 months after the Gerard Mayo era kicked off, has nothing to do with Mayo. Doesn't have anything to do with his coaches. Doesn't have anything to do with the front office. It has to do with one of the youngest members of the team who happens to play quarterback. And thank God for Drake May, because who knows where else his team would be without him now or in the future. And we are going to get to my Sunday predictions in the breakdown, like I told you, in the Black Monday predictions, okay? But I feel for you guys. And more selfishly, as we get into these quotes, the 14 most memorable or telling or shockingly stupid quotes of the year, this to me, more than the box scores, more than the film breakdowns, encapsulates how mind-numbing and how disconnected this season has been. And that sucks. So some of them, I hope we can laugh together because that's what I think we should be here for. Like, and this became crystal clear to me, even though I do this podcast twice a week, sitting down, preparing to do radio shows for 98.5 last week and the week before and said, what is this show going to be about? Same way I start every day. Okay, what do I have to do? What is this about? I said, let's just laugh and learn. Let's share in that kind of connection something here. Well, we can't do that for quotes that you're going to hear here in a second. And to backtrack for a second before we get to that quote, it's from Jelani Tavai. It was Friday on WEEI. You know what he's about to say, but I'm going to read it and then remind you of all the things we've heard this season that makes 3-13 feel a whole lot worse. Again, not because of the football that's on the field, but what they've been telling you off. Okay. The reason we're recording here on Saturday is because we had a player interview scheduled for Thursday. He had a minor family emergency. He's fine. Family's okay. I said, don't worry about it. We'll postpone. Same day in the locker room. Thursday, hey, I need to get someone else on the show. Find a guy who's been on the show before, done a 4-minute drill. Got a good relationship with them. Said, hey, can you do me a favor? 20 minutes after practice on Friday. They practice. Media goes into the locker room. We chat. Usually guys are just bolting. They're just getting out of there, heading into a little bit of weekend before obviously they come back to work. Saturday night for meetings, Sunday in a game. I said, hey, can we do this? He says, sure. I go, great. I'll be ready at your locker right after. Friday comes. They practice. They come back. Media's let in. He's gone. Next for 20, 30 minutes. PR is calling him. Can't get a hold of him. Clearly doesn't want to do the show. And look, it sucks to be ghosted. It sucks to be no show. But we're keeping it real here in the podcast at all times. And second to that, I don't even blame him. Man, this is a relationship I've had for years. And if he just wanted to up and ghost me, I get it. Because of the comments that I just told you about from Jelani Tavai. And here they are, in case you forgot, somehow in the last 24 hours. And God, I wish I could. Just mind-numbingly stupid and selfish. On WEI, Jelani Tavai asked, hey, can you see at least why fans were compelled to boo you during a 40-7 loss? We get it bothers you. But can you at least understand why? Here's what he said. I don't know. There's a reason why they're fans. Everybody can say what they think, what we should be doing. In the long run, they're not qualified to do what Mayo is doing or whatever the Krafts are doing. The fans, I appreciate them, but sometimes they just have to know their place and just understand it's a work in progress. So Tavai, that same day where I'm looking around, where's my guy? Is asked by a group of reporters, hey, did you really mean that? Want to say anything else? And so he apologizes, to his credit, to fans that he might have offended. Again, the people who are paying some of the highest ticket prices in the entire league. And if you think this is false indignity on my part or fronting or whatever certain people in corners of the internet call virtue signaling, man, that was me in the stands not too long ago, okay? And that's me in the stands in other places. So I get why you'd be pissed. And I don't think it's that hard to get. Moving forward, back to Tavai, he apologized to anyone he offended, but otherwise stands by his comments, which to me were the most cringeworthy of the season. So I go, well, this is just the shit cherry on top of a poop sundae. How can you say this? It's indefensible. And it's not a crime. But when you go into a game Sunday knowing you're going to get booed, people have already chanted for your head coach to get fired. And I find it admirable how Jelani would want to stand by his guys in the locker room and Mayo, his boss. That loyalty is important, okay? And that's what he expressed. That's what he was feeling. But you just can't say that. Not now, not really ever, but especially where this franchise is. But that's the issue. That's how unself-aware they are right now from the top down. So I compile, again, the 14 most memorable or telling or stupid, shockingly stupid quotes from the season, because this is what it's been. The whole Patriots experience in 2024 season. Okay, and we'll skip Gerard Mayo burning cash. Y'all heard it. It was oh, that'll be fun. They don't do it, middling them out, re-staying their guys. Okay, rookie mistake. He admits as such. We talked about this months ago. Mayo's going to have growing pains with the team. Forgive him. You even forgive Javon Baker, who introduces himself to New England moments after being drafted with this vulgar Instagram live saying, where's the liquor at? Mind you, it's 1:30 on a Saturday. Okay. And look, he's in his early 20s, whatever. You know what people in their early 20s do, self-included? They say stupid crap like, bring your popcorn. I make people in wheelchairs stand up. 10 games this season, Javon Baker has 3 targets and 0 catches. Okay, and I forgive him. 4th-round rookie struggle. Again, people in their early 20s say stupid stuff. We're moving on. We're even going to move on from Elliott Wolf saying he felt pretty comfortable August 18th with the offensive line. And even though they had stated Chuks Okorafor is going to be our left tackle, and we're going to have Mike Onwenu at right tackle, and neither of those things really happened for most of the first 3 weeks of training camp, and he defends it all the same, saying we feel confident in all these players because GMs should really stand by the roster. Okay, what happened then a month later? Chuks Okorafor, a career right tackle, got benched in the opener playing the left side, and then literally left, gone, quit on the team. And Michael Onwenu, as you know, has spent most of the season at right guard. We're going to forgive all of that as we go through, again, the mind-numbing nature of this Patriots season. I promise we're going to get to predictions at the end. I just need to drive this home because you forget some of this stuff. September 9th, for example. I bet you don't remember this. Patriots just beat Cincinnati. Great win. Capital M moment, as I said on this podcast. Wherever the season goes, the players involved, the coaches involved can hold on to that. because the release and oh yeah, I heard in that locker room, standing outside the door, waiting to get in there and ask questions after that game, felt like just this release from deep in their lungs and their souls of just how effing frustrating the previous 2 seasons had been. That's a game the Patriots had not won in 8 years as that big of an underdog. They go on the road and beat Joe Burrow, okay? Mayo the next morning, Monday morning, spends a full hour with the media. Not complaining about that. Of course not. You want to talk to the head coach. I said many times, we're all rooting for honesty. Should be rooting for honesty, even when you can tell this is what he's saying is not in the best interest of the team, okay? After doing a video conference with reporters, he goes on WEEI. He guarantees the Patriots will always have a strong run defense. Here's the full quote. We'll always have a good run defense. I truly believe that. When I talk to the media, I'm really talking to the players. They listen to this stuff. Like earlier what I said. They listen to it. So here you go, guys, meaning the players. Will always be a good run defense no matter what. Well, with 1 game left, the Patriots rank 25th in yards allowed per game, 28th by DVOA, and 30th by EPA per play. Again, I don't get any pleasure out of this, but we just need to hammer home exactly how insane, how mind-numbing this season has been. And this comes from someone who started his career writing for free, living at home, God bless my parents, about UConn football, and started the season 0-9, where Tim Boyle, God bless him, had tenfold number of interceptions and touchdown passes. I've been around that stuff. I've been around high school field hockey. I've been around high school football. Bad teams, bad football, bad performances, whatever. This takes the cake. You know what? It's sad. Football season, pretty much over. But you can still play and win with a new game. Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action anywhere. And I'm talking up to, get this, 1,000 times your cash. You heard me say this during Pickmas, everybody's favorite holiday. Not Christmas, not Hanukkah, not Kwanzaa, not even New Year's. Pickmas was the best because when you build a lineup of 2 to 6 players and you pick more or you pick less, as you always do at Prize Picks, Pickmas is not over. So go to Prize Picks right now, where everyone can have fun with daily fantasy sports. It's the most accessible. It's the simplest app out there. All you have to do, pick 2 to 6 players. Each comes with a stat. You look at their next game, you think they'll get more or you think you'll get less, lock it in, and there it is. You can have a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash by picking as few as 2 players. I do this. Right now, we're in the doldrums of the NBA season. I watch the Celtics, pull up Prize Picks, make my picks, have a little fun on the couch, even though it's a Tuesday in the dead of winter. You can do this too. You can do this with Venmo, by the way. New feature, one of my favorites. And this is the best part, where I can't do this anymore because I've been playing Prize Picks for months. If you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, 50 for just $5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So whether you think the Ravens are going to go far in the playoffs and Lamar Jackson might have more than 250 passing yards, or Josh Allen's going to have over 2.5 passing touchdowns, you can pick more, you can pick less, and you can win, but only at Prize Picks. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Continuing, Mayo, that same interview on WEEI, declared the Patriots are going to run the ball all year. Quote, we will always offensively be a run-first team, and you got to stop it. And if you do, then we have other answers after that. It's not a secret. Well, with 1 game left, the Patriots run game, want to guess where they rank in yards per game? Well, it's actually better than you think. It's 13th. DVOA, worse than you think, 32nd. EPA, 30th. Here's the last one. And he actually said this first that morning. On a video conference with reporters, he says that the offensive line concerns have been overblown. Quote, I've been saying it for a long time. I think the whole offensive line conversation has been overblown. Every game, every preseason game against backups. Those guys have done a good job moving bodies and establishing toughness in the line of scrimmage. And to their credit, in Cincinnati, Patriots rushed for 170 yards, drained out the clock and killed the game on the final possession. Okay. And also gave up a 43% pressure rate. Not great. We want to guess where they rank? I'm not even going to wait this time. Dead last by Pro Football Focus's run blocking grades. Second worst in pass protection. And they've been bottom 5 by ESPN's pass block win rate all year long. Overblown, get out of here. But you could argue that wasn't as bad as this one, October 15th. Robert Kraft on an interview with the Breakfast Club podcast, a podcast where people come on and talk about mending relationships and generally healthy things and positive things. Also, granted, a podcast, like most people feel about this one, I'd never have heard of, okay, unless it hadn't been for this one particular quote that goes viral. So on the Breakfast Club podcast on October 15th, Robert Kraft volunteers that he fired Bill Belichick at the end of the 2023 season. And you know our guy, Tommy Curran, and reported that midseason they decided in January, in Germany, if that lost to the Colts, it's over. But in their last press conference, very well done, even if it's a facade that most of us kind of saw through, but you grant them and honor their request to write history. They want to do it at the end, a mutual parting of the ways. That's what Belichick said. That's what Krafts said. They shook hands. They smiled. They seemed to really sink into the good and the gratitude of the moment. None of this would have been possible without both of us, of course, Brady. Let's celebrate that as opposed to going double birds on the way out. Well, here's what Krafts said on the 15th. What he did for us was great. People need to adapt. People need to adapt. That they don't. Things can change in life. It's about getting good chemistry and trust. And I feel our record the last 3-4 years wasn't what I wanted. Totally fair. This, unfair. I kept him for 24 years. I didn't enjoy having to fire him, but I tried to do it. If you look at the press conference and how it happened, I tried to do it in a classy way. I mean, even if most of us weren't buying that Bill wasn't fired, of course, a dude who's 71 at the time wants to stay put and have the same job he's had for 24 years. Okay. He knows the reality of the situation, as Robert just laid out. You can't say I fired that person when you put that much effort just 9 months earlier into his mutual parting of the ways. But Jalen Polk, God bless him, does Robert a solid, because a day later, he told our guy, Mark Daniels, Mass Live, after Gerard Mayo calls Polk out for having these struggles that are really a, quote, mental hump, okay? Polk says, no, I don't have any mental problems. In fact, quote, I believe I have the best hands in the league. So I feel like my drops, it's not an issue at all. Best hands in the league, 2 drops and 23 targets. Well, since those comments, Polk hasn't dropped the pass, to his credit. He's also caught 2 passes on 9 targets. 4 days later, Jacksonville, 32-16. Mayo comes out, most famous comment of the season. Look, what I'd say is we're a soft football team across the board. And he detailed why. They're not running the ball, not stopping the run, or covering kicks. A day later, we get back to Mayo Walk Back Mondays and WEI. I felt like we just went out there and played soft. We're playing soft. To their credit, Pats respond. They win 25-22 at the Jets. But say what you mean. You're a grown man. 24th. I don't know if 22 counts as a grown man. But Kayshon Boutte is a second-year receiver. And he thought, because he got 3 catches and a touchdown against the Texans 2 games before, and only 2 targets in that Jacksonville game. The following Wednesday, he could say, I feel like I shouldn't have to really ask. And he's talking about the ball. He thinks he's good enough where they should be throwing to him a lot more. And look, as a grown man, responsible for my words, I said on this podcast, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, I didn't think he had proven enough to be an NFL receiver. I was wrong. I think Kayshon Boutte is a fine, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, number 4 or number 5 target. Okay? That's better than 99.999% of all the receivers in the entire world. That's great. But in the NFL, that's all he's been. 36 catches, 472 yards, 2 touchdowns going into Sunday. Yeah, you should have to ask for the ball. You're not as good as you think. December 1st, this was peak Walk Back Monday for Mayo. Patriots lose to the Colts. You remember 25-24. He's asked, like you often are when you lose a close game, about play call, clock management, something you did or didn't do. Okay? And so Mayo, as the Colts are killing the last 5.5 minutes of that clock and get inside the 2-minute warning, and they're threatening to take the lead with not just less than a minute left, not less than 30 seconds left, but less than 20 seconds left. Why did you only use 1 of your 3 timeouts? He goes, absolutely. There was a thought. We also have won a Super Bowl here doing it the other way. Keeping our timeouts is what I thought was best for the team. So he's referring right there to Bill Belichick. Super Bowl 49 against the Seahawks. You remember it? Somehow just being on the team gave Mayo part credit, I guess, for that. Day later, he goes, I should not have said that. I should not have said it. Of course, on WEI. Well, 2 weeks later, you said it, I didn't. You remember this. Alex Van Pelt beat the bottom of the bus. Mayo tosses Van Pelt under the bus when asked if the team should have run Drake May. And that, again, embarrassing 30-17 loss to Arizona. Tells Phil Perry, you said it, I didn't. Running Drake May at the goal line when they get stuck there in short yardage. You said it, I didn't. Oh, I walked it back the next morning. Oh, I know there's a lot of chatter about the question last night. You know, you said it. I didn't mean anything by that. It's more of a defensive response. Well, at least you're half right. Certainly sounded defensive. But as reported by another one of our guys here on the show, Doug Kyde, members of the organization interpreted Mayo's comments as a shot at Van Pelt. And I think everyone else on planet Earth did too. Here's the last one before the Tavai. We already covered Tavai. 48 hours before the Patriots hosted the Chargers, Mayo told the national TV broadcast he intended to sit Ramondre Stevenson because Stevenson's, fumbled, steal from LeBron James. Not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 times this year. So Mayo says to Scott Zolak, team-friendly, partial team employee, ex-player, good guy. Gibby's going to start for us today, meaning Antonio Gibson. An hour later, right before the game starts, Ross Tucker, who's calling that game for the NFL Network, says they're going to do it at the start of the game with a different running back. Antonio Gibson will get the start. Mayo told us. Well, Stevenson starts. Mayo's asked about it. Coach's decision. Gerard, just to be sure, is there any chance it was just a miscommunication? Not a big deal. That was just coach's decision. Coach's decision. Nothing further. So when you think about how bad this season has been, and Mercy is coming on Sunday, again, I don't run through all of that because it makes me a better journalist. It makes me a hard-nosed media. There's no joy in that. But when you stack it all up, that's how you get to the most mind-numbing season I've ever experienced, been a part of. It's not about the losing. You can lose close games, but you can't do what they've been doing at the podium and on the football field and expect not to have major changes. And I told you earlier this week, I think if the Patriots have a chance to go get Mike Vrabel, you go full court press, you pay everyone out in the staff, clean house, that's it. Bring in Mike Vrabel, who's not only just going to be a better head coach than Gerard Mayo is now, will be next year, and probably the year after that, maybe ever. He's going to bring in a better, more experienced staff that he's gotten to know from his days at Ohio State and Houston and Tennessee, and just being in the league a lot longer than Gerard, and frankly, being a lot more mature than Gerard. And I think it starts at the top, of course, with ownership, who deserves the biggest piece of blame pie for everything that's happened on. And is on this list, as you'll know. Okay, this wasn't the Gerard Mayo list of dumb quotes this season. It included Elliott Wolf and players. But when you go down after that, it's no surprise to me that a team fails to take accountability or objects at things outside of the building when Gerard Mayo's doing the same thing. Did it behind closed doors last year. Going, hey, the defense, we're doing our job. You heard from Devon Gottschalk. Give up 150 yards to the Chargers. Well, I thought we had good run defense. First thing out of his mouth. Jelani Tavai. Oh, you're not as qualified as us. Hey, you're right. Everyone knows that about fans. That's why they're in the stands and you're on the sideline. But it doesn't take someone qualified to understand when things are this bad. And you don't even have to watch the football. You just have to listen to them talk about it week after week after week, as you did, and so did I. Let's talk about some football. Patriots, 3.5-point underdogs, despite the fact the Bills are going to sit most of their starters. Again, we're going to go quickly just because I think most of you who listen to this, the game have already been played. Drake May, questionable officially with a right hand injury. Despite Gerard Mayo saying this week, the injury had, quote, no effect on him. May has repeatedly called himself great. He's good. Feels good. It's good to go. Okay. But he's questionable. He's officially questionable. I believe he will start, as Alex Van Pelt told us on Thursday. I do not believe he should start. I think Joe Milton should play. I think he should swallow this pill, clinch the number 1 pick. Laid out that case with Duck Hyde earlier this week. Great episode, by the way. If you've not listened to it, go listen to that as much as the last few minutes here. Okay. I do believe, though, Joe Milton, who saw his first non-scout team reps of this season, okay, this week, meaning he worked with the starting offense, and if not the second team offense, that's notable. I do think he will play. That might be the best way to approach this, at least put on that you're trying to win the game. That's been the messaging. That's what you got to tell the players. But the way that you tank is not asking them to put in less effort. It's by you putting in the worst players. Organizations tank, players and coaches don't. Okay? And coaches do with the decisions. But it comes from the top down is my point. Christian Gonzalez is not going to play. Jalen Polk is not going to play. Jabril Peppers is not going to play. All of them have been ruled out. Okay? I don't think that's part of the tanking. Gonzalez, as we know, has a concussion. But the thing about this is, again, they can't get their messaging straight. If you want to play if Drake's healthy game, and maybe he's not, don't have the kid clear himself twice, basically, this week saying it's great. Don't say it's had no effect and then list him as questionable. Just be on the same page. This is so simple and easy. And you still might lose. And obviously, that's what you should be hoping for. That's what I'm frankly hoping for. Do the right thing, the smart thing, organization, get the number 1 pick. And if they win or lose, it's probably going to come down to these 3 matchups. Here we go. Keon White and Anthony Jennings versus Deion Dawkins. Bills star left tackle, maybe the best in the league. He's not going to play the whole game. Whether it's Dawkins or somebody else, they need to set the edge in a way they did not last time against Buffalo. Run defense, Devon Gottschalk, not great. Okay? You saw it on that 46-yard touchdown James Cook had in the second quarter a couple weeks ago. You saw it on the first play of the last drive. Cook, same play, outside zone left, and Keon White blows the contain. They need to do a much better job there on the edges or this game is going to be lost. Number 2, Drake May. Speaking of contain, Buffalo started to use a spy against him. A lot of teams are doing that. Use these rush patterns, as Alex Van Pelt was telling us on Thursday. Get May out of the pocket. And one of the examples that you've seen was the first third down when May actually got hurt, not concussed, against the Chargers, because they flush him right where he likes to go anyway. And on that side, you had a double team of Kendrick Bourne and then Derwin James all over Hunter Henry. So what is Drake May going to do now when the Bills likely either spy him again or use these pass rushes designed to get him outside the pocket? Where, yes, he's dangerous, but if you have someone waiting to stop a scramble or prevent him from throwing to one of his best targets, you win. So what are the Patriots going to do? What's Drake May going to do in his limited time? Last one. Reminder, Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. They're not the only running backs I can tell you that are going to play in this game. Terrell Jennings is walking around. Kevin Harris also around. JaMychal Hasty, we'll see. You got to break tackles at the second level. Gibson broke the only tackle the Patriots broke against the Chargers. And Stevenson was much better in that department, as was Gibson. I think they come on for 8 or 9. Last time we saw the Bills, they need to create yards on their own. Offensive line's not going to do it. You need to get extra yards and first downs and push for those explosive plays on the ground, because that's the only way probably you're getting explosive plays here against the Bills. 2 keys. The opposite side, Patriots need to tackle. It's that simple. Like, you're getting a big break with the way Buffalo is treating this game from a roster standpoint, which, by the way, doesn't even guarantee that it'll be close. They could still blow you out, and not because the Patriots stink, but because Buffalo did this 2 years ago and rang up a 50-burger on Miami and destroyed them. But to prevent that from happening, you need to stop ball carriers at first contact. There could be no low-hanging fruit, no easy yards that you're giving away, just tackle. Second one, some early explosive plays. I was really tempted just to throw in some trick plays in here. I've done that a few times this season because F it. That's the kind of game this is. The F in finale is for F it. Okay? Throw everything out there. Double passes, reverse, fake punts, whatever it might be, go for it. But ultimately, whoever you get those explosive plays, they need to happen. They don't happen early. Buffalo's going to be able to sit in that kind of too high shell structure and just wait you out and drain clock and kill you. Get an early explosive tackle well, Patriots will have a shot in this game. Which, of course, you want them to lose. Which gets me to my wild card thought. The environment is going to be unlike any game I think I've ever experienced. And fitting for, again, a season unlike anything I've ever experienced. The most mind-numbing season I've ever covered or been a part of. How much do Patriots fans boo? Do they boo after a touchdown? Do they boo when Jelani Tavai makes a tackle? Do they cheer after the opening kickoff? And I think there are going to be a lot of good-natured fans, and I think that's probably the best way to handle your business and take the high road, genuinely. But I'm not blaming anyone for kind of taking care of themselves and standing on whatever they see as their actual business on Sunday and how this has gone down. Because, again, how disconnected, disorganized, and disappointing the whole season has been. So I have no idea what this is going to look like. And if the Patriots take a late lead, does it get quiet? Do they cheer for the Bills? How many Bills fans are in the house? It's the most fascinating part about this game. Nothing on the field, all in the stands. I'm very curious what you guys do. Okay, so I know most of you still remember. It's only been about 5 years. The Patriots playing playoff football, the best of the best going head-to-head. That's what January and February is all about. I don't know when the Patriots will be back, but I know if you want to make lifetime memories, whether it's the NFL playoffs or later on this year, the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs, or you want to even go to a March Madness game, there's only one place to go. It's Game Time, the best secondary ticket marketplace you will find for one simple reason. They have a lowest price guarantee. And I use this, have you heard me tell you before, to make lifetime memories with my wife out in London. Went to the game with one of my best friends. Granted, he was a Jags fan. Nothing you could do about that. But the point is, I went to Game Time because they gave me that lowest price guarantee. Plus, as I was picking out tickets for them, they gave me a seat view right there, what it was like to be in Wembley Stadium. And you could do this even if you want to go to the Super Bowl. Find that exact seat. What's your view? Compare it to another one. But only at Game Time, where you get not only the seat view and the lowest price guarantee, but Game Time picks where they give you all the best deals right up front, all in pricing. You don't even have to go searching for all these different deals. It's just the best of the best right there. You can find your tickets and go to the Super Bowl or any other event in less than 60 seconds. So what are you waiting for? Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase in these lifetime memories. Terms do apply. Again, just create an account. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. last minute tickets, the best tickets, the lowest price guaranteed tickets to any game, concert, show, playoff, or regular season. Guaranteed. What time is it? Game time. So whatever happens on Sunday, we're going to get to Black Monday. Call it Black Monday because that's when usually head coaches around the league get canned. Get this out of the way. I do not believe the Patriots are going to fire Gerard Mayo. I'm not ruling it out. My confidence in this has never been lower. Okay, I'm not going to give you a percent because the people that do that are just guessing. Okay, or they're guessing based on somebody else's guesses. All right, if you have a cold, you report it. That's what it is. And there's room for guessing and content, whatever. I'm just not going to do that here at the end. I'm open to it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Krafts feel like they've invested too much. Same reason I was saying this after the last Buffalo game. That's their guy. He's been their guy for years and years and years. Okay, and you could excuse a lot of this if you want to. I don't think they should, but it's not a matter of what you think or I believe. It's do they have enough evidence in front of them to see what they want to see? Okay. And in this case, any reason to keep Gerard or pin it on somebody else. And that is exactly what I think they're going to do. Alex Van Pelt, I believe, will be let go on Monday. I think you'll see a lot of the offensive staff. This is not reporting. This is guessing. I want to be clear to anyone repurposing this or aggregating this. This is my feeling, my belief, my thought. That's it. I believe Alex Van Pelt will go. I think receivers coach Tyler Hughes will go. I think Scott Peters, who you could read into some comments. These weren't mind-numbingly stupid comments like all the ones we just rattled off. But asked about Caden Wallace starting on Sunday. Third-round rookie. You need to find out what you have in that guy. He's not going to start. Peter said, well, coach wants us to start the starters. Sounds like that wasn't Scott Peters' decision. Just like Scott Peters said, I don't have time to be frustrated when asked about Gerard, saying, I'm frustrated. We can't get the offensive line, the right combinations, injury in this. It's a very different attitude. I wouldn't be shocked if he's let go or chooses to go on his own way, whatever it is. Most of that offensive staff will go. I think you'll also see departures from the defensive side. I know for a fact some of those assistants, their contracts are up. And I know for a fact you've had players like Keon White talk about feeling disconnected, that there needs to be, quote, major changes. Which, again, another quote we didn't even include on that list. Because honestly, Keon White was among the few guys speaking the truth. Not that he's the most reliable narrator of the whole team. This guy is a bit of a loner sometimes in the locker room, okay, and just a unique personality. But the bottom line is that defensive line, that pass rush has been atrocious. Bad. And that goes for not only defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery, outside linebackers coach Drew Wilkins. Like, they've gotten nada, zero, zilch from those positions from a pass rushing standpoint. And it's not just, we fell behind, we lost control of the game script. No. Pass rushing situations, obvious passing situations, they get nothing. But because of the relationship, again, the N in the NFL might as well stand for nepotism. I think DeMarcus Covington will keep his job. He's close with Mayo. If you fire him, there's a smaller pool of guys to potentially replace him than there would be if you fire Alex Van Pelt. That's how they look at this. That's what they do. They do what they want to do, and they're entitled to do. But DeMarcus Covington, obviously, has done a worse job than Alex Van Pelt. But this isn't about fair. It's not about merit. It's about what the Krafts want to do, what Gerard wants to do. And as we've seen time and again, often that's not take accountability. Even if he'll start and it starts with me and we could be better than yada yada, I think Alex Van Pelt is the fall guy here. You have offensive assistants gone, some defensive assistants gone. And we move forward into 2025 going, it's great they have a top 4 pick. Maybe it's number 1. All this cash in free agency. But do players want to come? And that's a scary thing. It might be up to T. Higgins, not you, as to how good you can get. Because not only do you have to overpay, like everyone does in free agency, if you want him or Ronnie Stanley or whomever, you got to overpay. This is a suck tax. This is an embarrassing tax. This is a disorganized tax that you have to pay. Because as much as everyone's watched the football, the most notable moments from the season, the ones we just covered, all those in the press conferences. And that's what guys like T and Ronnie have heard, and people around the league. So there you have it. We didn't even cover my letter that I wrote midweek that some people talk as being from the Krafts, but was really a suggestion for me to the Krafts saying, hey, get to the fans now, contact them. Don't wait till the end of the season. And this is what you should say. Barstool's Jerry Thornton, friend, thought the Krafts had written it, got him excited, told me I did a probably pretty good job of that letter. Not the case. Anyway, if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. If you're the Krafts, run it. Don't just read it. I told you, copy, paste, and go. Because, look, as much as football is an American addiction, and everyone in New England still talks about the Patriots even when they suck like this, they're the biggest show in town. The stock for this team has never been lower. The apathy in the modern era, I don't want to hear from guys, you weren't here in the early 90s. You're right, I was in diapers. My bad. Okay. Like modern era Patriots, the apathy has never been higher. And you need to start, whether you're Gerard or Robert, with the sentence I started with in that letter. When you look ahead to this offseason, what you need to do next, and when you talk to fans next, we failed you. That's what they did. That's what the season was. Anyway, moving on. I'll be back next week. I can't tell you when. It's we're gonna have Black Monday. We're gonna have coaching changes. We will have guests, players or not. I don't know. I'm not gonna make any promises. I don't even know if I mentioned last episode who it was gonna be. But the point is, I expect we'll have more player interviews over the course of the offseason, which I'm super excited about. I'm excited for new segments. We might even do this in shorter, increments and episodes, but more of them during the offseason. All TBD. I need to get some good thinking done, some more reporting done. I would just say be patient on the reporting end, but we'll have more stuff coming throughout the offseason. So that's it. If you have time, I would love for you to drop us a rating or review at Apple or Spotify. It helps us grow. If you've liked what you've heard this season and it's at least helped you, either when we're venting or breaking down the football or celebrating or doing whatever, 5 stars on Apple, 5 stars on Spotify. Leave us a review. This helps with the algorithm to reach more people. YouTube on comments, or if you want to email me, Callahan@bostonherald.com, you can always reach me, and I get back to virtually everyone who emails me, aside from a couple of you who end up in spam. But then I dig it up and like, oh, so sorry, it's been a couple months. And you're like, I don't know if he's really telling the truth, but I tell you I am. Anyway, rating, review, really appreciate it. Belated Happy New Year, and we will see you next week.